ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dave. The other guy is Scott. Welcome to Old Ass Movie Reviews. Today we're going to do Foxy Brown. Well, we're not going to do Foxy Brown. We're just going to review Foxy Brown. But thank you for getting it, Scott. Jesus. It's an old blaxploitation movie from the 70s. I think it was 76. Was it 76?
I missed that. It is another film from Frank Hill, and this is actually an important note for us here at Old Ass Movie Reviews, since our very first podcast is a Frank Hill film with Pam Grier. Yep. We did Coffee, and that was our first movie review. And man, have we seen a lot of movies since then.
Right.
We also, Spider Baby was another Frank Hill, and now we have moved on to Foxy Brown. Definitely has the same vibe as Coffee.
You remember the last movie that we saw Pam Grier in?
Escape from L.A.?
Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Oh, that's right. I forgot she was in that. And before, Escape from L.A.
Escape from L.A., right. So we've seen quite a few Pam Grier appearances.
We sure have.
There will be more, because I really like Pam Grier. She's just the goddess when she walks out on the screen, and she takes over wherever she's at, whatever bad dialogue Frank Hill has written for her.
But, and there's plenty.
You know what? Pat and I were talking last. This one is fairly well acted, except for the main villainess. Todd, I think, was her last name. The actual actress's name, I think, was last name Todd. And I think that was the direction she was given. I think she was trying to be fluent and up crust and very, proper, like over
Catherine
the top.
Loder. Catherine Loder, yeah.
But I didn't buy it. I think if she would have been allowed to play it looser, I think she
was stiff. She was really stiff, and I don't, like I said, I don't know if that was. But let's be honest here. We don't watch these movies for the acting.
No.
They're entertaining. This is a revenge flick, it's a revenge film mixed in with a social justice message about drugs in the city, and I'm being attacked by a cat right now.
Right.
So it just follows the formula of a lot of movies that I've seen in that time frame. Not a bad thing. It's just this is the 70s film. Yeah.
I was very proud of Pam Grier in this movie. I mean, there was some breasts being shown, this and that, but not nearly as much as Coffee. And everybody else was showing their breasts way more than she was this time around, which I thought, well, that's great. She does get her revenge on every one of those guys that she wanted to get her revenge on.
Well, let me ask something. Let's talk about that real quick, folks. If you haven't seen this movie, we do spoil every review, so almost. But okay. So that being said, when I saw the ending of this movie, it reminded me of the ending of Coffee, where she shot the guy in the crotch with a shotgun. And well, this time she took a little souvenir, Lorena Bobbitt style. Wow.
Loder's character.
Send it to Catherine Loder's character, the big baddie in this movie. Yeah. I thought it was a neat setup, what they were doing. Yeah. For the villains to have this type of basically business that they were in to provide protection in a really, really smart, intriguing way. I thought it was just different. You don't see stuff set up like that.
It was a lot deeper than Coffee, I think. But neither one of them are out of the ordinary. It's what really happened. And it's probably a lot worse than anything they show in any of these movies. And you see Pam Grier, I mean, she finally goes to the black guys that are trying to clean up their own neighborhood.
Yeah, so like the guardian angels of the area or whatever they are, yeah.
And the one leader of the group is like, well, that's not our neighborhood. It's not our problem. And she's basically saying, this is everybody's problem. And if you don't clean up, it's going to come back to your neighborhood. Basically telling them, you got it. whether you like it or not is irrelevant. You stepped in it, you have to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was pretty good. I think that could have been rewritten a little bit better, but I liked the effect. I
Yeah,
like her having to go in and plead her case to these guys. It worked
there's some
really well.
there's something about watching these blaxploitation films or any of the films, the rawer films of the 70s,
Right,
even
right.
like John Carpenter's Escape from or Assault on Precinct 13. Not
Oh
Escape
yeah,
from
yeah,
Precinct 13, might as well be called Escape from Precinct 13.
yeah,
But and movies like The Warriors and stuff,
yeah,
there's a looseness going on in these movies. There's
yeah. I like it.
I think they just approach it with more of a freedom to, yeah, we know this is not Oscar worthy, but we're going to deliver on the entertainment and it's going to be fun and everybody's fully invested in it. And that, I think that's
Yeah.
what works about it. And they're fun, they're entertaining.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree completely. They are very loose. Um, early early comic strips are the same way. Early early movies from the 30s and 40s were
Mhm.
the same way. Very loose, very raw. And as they go on, as time goes on, they get cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. And I mean, the line work would get cleaner on the artwork,
Yeah.
and the film looks cleaner in film. Writers like Dashiell Hammett were very gritty. I don't know how uh, cleaned up or polished his writing would have gotten over the years if he had lived. But I like to think that guys like Dashiell Hammett would have been very raw the whole time.
Right.
I like to think most of Cagney's movies, even though he got very polished and he was a song and dance man, his movies for gangster movies were always very raw, always very uh, hand and fist or hand and cuff,
Yeah.
and they all worked really well. So yeah, these movies never got a chance to get as polished as I would have liked to have seen. I love the rawness of them. I love
Mhm.
the feel that most of them were probably shot without permits. You know, just running down the street and doing their thing, and then
I
get the
do
hell
get
out of
that
here.
vibe from a lot of these. Yes.
Especially in the one scene where the drug dealer is getting stopped by the guys that wind up helping Foxy Brown later.
Yeah.
He's getting his ass kicked, and then he starts kicking everybody's ass. He's going to run. Foxy, as he's running past Foxy, she just kicks a garbage can in front of him, and he trips and falls flat on his face. And then you got three guys jumping up and beating the piss out of him, and they throw him in the car. And the guy that's with Foxy Brown's like, "Hey, yeah, good going, brother. That's great. You know, well, now what are you going to do?" And they're like, "Oh, he's going to be taken out. He's going to be put on a train." And they're like, "He's the guy. Yeah. Oh, what if he comes back?" And the guy just looks at him and goes, "Oh, he ain't coming back." And they kill this guy. They're killing these drug dealers and drug
Oh
pushers
yeah.
and people in their neighborhood. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, sometimes justice is just you gotta do your own justice, man.
Mhm.
Cops ain't coming to the neighborhood. The
Well, and
gangs are
that's
destroying your neighborhood. You got to clean them up.
uh, this one of the things the vibes I get watching these movies that have this message about the drugs entering the area and just causing all the problems and death and crime. Um, this these movies are giving voice to people who are living that on a day basis
Yeah,
and trying to
yeah.
shine a light on what's going on and do it in a way that you're entertained and hopefully think about it. Unfortunately, we didn't get a long span of movies like this that
Right.
that would do that. But I don't know. I found it interesting to have such strong social messages at this time frame. So, and it's neat.
And pretty positive. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
they did typical. All the white guys in the movie were pretty much the bad guys,
Well,
except for the doc and her boyfriend's boss,
yeah.
his immediate supervisor. Um, but yeah, really, that they even made mention of it in this movie, which I found interesting actually, because I hadn't heard anything like this in years. But when she's initially talking to the one guy that's trying to clean up the neighborhood, he talks about the cops or the feds bringing in the cocaine and the heroin into their
Yeah.
neighborhood. He never mentioned mob. He never mentioned, any kind of organized crime. And I started laughing, and I thought to myself, not laughing because it was funny, laughing because, wow, I never noticed it before, that they knew what was going on in these neighborhoods back in the 60s and 70s. They were bringing the drugs in. And it's been proven that that's who's been bringing the drugs into all these neighborhoods. Been proven that that's who's caused all the gambling in these neighborhoods. And it's like, you would think that somewhere along the lines, after all these years, people would have got their shit together and went, you know what? We're not going to have that anymore. We're not.
I know
you can be at it, but we're not going to do it. We're not going to allow it anymore. And I don't know where the disconnect is, because it's like that everywhere in the world.
It is.
That connect. They know it. They know who's doing it, and yet they keep doing it. They keep allowing it, and I don't get it. I don't. My mind, I can't understand it.
Well, and that's why you have the people like in these movies that come take out the bad guys, and this is a neat revenge movie. It like Coffee, she gets her revenge, and Pam dominates the screen every time. I love that we got a weapon hidden in the afro again. That was from Coffee as well.
I like how
the
she
gun
wound up
this time.
The razor blade to cut her ropes.
Yep. Oh, dude, I was so on the edge of my seat when she was trying to pick up that double-sided razor blade with her tongue.
Yeah,
and it's like, please tell me that is a fake blade.
Well, what's funny is I think I had mentioned to you that I heard an interview with her. I forgot where I had heard it on, but she would go around with Frank Hill when he was writing these movies, and he would give her a movie, and she would say, well, how about we do this or this? And he's like, is that a thing? And she's like with hiding the razor blades in the hair and doing things and drugs and this and that. And she's like, yeah, that's because she came kind of from those neighborhoods. So she would tell Frank Hill, yeah, let's go for a drive. I'll show you what I'm talking about. And he's like, we're driving. And he didn't want to get out of the car. He's like, she's don't worry, I'm not out of the car either. But she would show him the neighborhoods that she talked about, so he knew the story he wanted to tell, but she kind of forced him to make it a little bit more genuine. And I thought that was very telling. I'm guessing those must have been really good friends, because he did a lot of movies with her. Sid Haig was in a lot of movies with her.
Oh yeah.
The one main bad guy in this movie always played a jerk. He always played a prick in everything I've ever seen him in. He was never a nice guy. I don't ever remember him being a good guy.
He just had that look. He just had that look.
Yeah,
it was like, oh, you are a douchebag the minute you see him on screen. You know it. And he plays it well. So major credit to that actor, because for you to do that just by being on the screen, it's like, shit.
Just went up, you're just like, oh, there's the douchebag.
Yep. There's here's the 70s James Spader showing up.
Right. Then you had the pimp from Starsky and Hutch,
Antonio Fargas, who also was in as Fly Guy in I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. And Huggy Bear, as you said, Starsky and Hutch.
God, he was such a good actor, and he always played that kind of character. Except Huggy Bear, though he was a pimp, he seemed to be like if I remember correctly, a pimp with a conscience. Like
it's
an impossible thing, but he would always help the cops. And it wasn't just because he was getting paid; it's because he wanted his girls to be safer. That's, if I remember correctly, that's how it was supposed to be.
Interesting.
Like he was really taking care of his girls.
Well, how else would you? How else could you get an audience to get behind a pimp? It would, have to be like on Night Shift with Henry Winkler and
Yeah.
What's his name? Michael Keaton. Yeah.
Keaton.
You know,
Yeah.
they were getting them health insurance and everything. And it's like,
Yeah. Investing their money.
yeah.
Like I felt funny. Like that's a great movie. That's a movie we need to do. But Pam Grier, I don't know how many of these movies she did.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know most of her career was on these movies. And like you said, she walks on stage or in the screen and she's there. She dominates that damn moment. From the time Huggy Bear calls her on the phone to say, "Come and pick me up,"
I
which is a
love
great
that beginning, that opening scene where she runs in the car.
And she's dominating at that point. And then, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead and explain. Huggy Bear, or I'm not sure what the guy's name is. Fargus Link calls her, and it's out. It's her sister, his sister.
Yeah,
you got to come. You got to come help me. I'm going to get beat up by these guys. I'm going to get hurt. I'm going to get broken ribs. Blah blah blah. Whatever. So she winds up showing up as the cops pull away, and he's about ready to get his ass beat. Take it away.
Yeah, this is great because you're just watching this and you see the car coming. She flashes her lights, and then they pan the camera to the guy on the sidewalk, and instantly you know it's like, uh-oh. And she does. She goes forward and just chasing after him, and you know, rolls off the hood and shit. It's good, you know. But that opening scene sets the whole thing up. That scene with Link, you already know he's. From the opening seconds, you see him when he comes out of that door and he starts to look, you know, here's somebody who's afraid for his life. Somebody's after him. And you just start putting it together as it goes. And you just see how deep he is into it. He's got such a gambling problem and he's dealing in drugs. And he does something really shitty. He turns in his sister's boyfriend to the mob because he was an informant.
Yeah, he wasn't an informant.
Well, he's a Fed. He was an undercover Fed. Yeah.
It's like and you knew it was going to happen. You knew.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. So that sets it in motion, and Pam Grier goes to get revenge, and boy, does she ever! And you're right. What's her name? Catherine Loder. It just the character. We knew she was the boss, which was fine, but she wasn't evil enough. I think she was just way too stiff. Needed to be a little more psycho. I don't know, a little more comfortable being psycho.
I think that's what they were trying to portray. But I think she played it too stiff. I think she played it a little bit looser, a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah,
it would come off as. I think she would have come off a lot more evil.
Yeah, but to be fair. It was perfectly fine performance, to be fair. I mean, it just if I have to nitpick this, because like I said, we didn't watch this to say, oh my God, look at this fine acting.
They won an Oscar.
Yeah.
No, not that.
No.
But you watch it because they're entertaining, number one. Number two, you know they're going to give you some kind of social message, which doesn't bother me. Because I know going in what to expect from one of these types of movies, especially Frank Hill.
Frank Hill, yeah. I always want to call him Jack, but it's Frank.
Yeah, like some Frank Hill movie. You know, he's going to have some kind of message, even if it's completely lost on you. He's trying to give you.
And that's what made Don't Be a Menace to South Central While Drinking Juice in the Hood so funny, is having Keenan Wayans pop in message because all of these movies always had messages, and they continued this from the 70s blaxploitation up into John Singleton, who would swing his messages with a freaking sledgehammer. And you know, I go back and revisit some of those as like, damn, it's just too much. So you know, this is not too much. This is necessary because it sets the stage for where you're at. It sets the stage for the type of community you're in the middle of right there. So it lets the viewer know where you're at.
And you have to. That's character building.
Absolutely. So it does a good job with that. I enjoyed this. Liked Coffee much better, but not I shouldn't say much better. I liked Coffee better. This
Yeah.
one is this one's different. Yeah, I like Coffee to me is even sillier and probably not as well put together as this one, but I like
Well,
Coffee better.
yeah. Well, that's what we were talking about. It's like it's a little bit grittier. Coffee's
Yeah.
grittier. I do like Coffee a little bit more, but there are things I like about this one more than Coffee.
Yeah.
It's
I can see
Sid
that.
Haig. Sid Haig is the pilot. I liked him as the pilot. I was
I always love Sid Haig. Yeah.
expecting him to be in a lot more of this movie. Like I kept
Yeah.
going to like, where's Sid Haig? And then when they went to the ranch, the hillbilly ranch, and I'm like, that's a man that's playing hillbilly music that's never heard a Southern hillbilly song before because it's just a lot of twangy going on. And I'm like, it's not
It
even
was
country music. I don't,
it was great.
but it was
I
fun.
love that scene. I mean, was that not ridiculous? That was
It was
absolute
kind of over the top, but then you sit there
but it
and
was
think
perfect.
that, that's probably not too far from what really goes on right now.
Exactly. But
You know?
it was just really ridiculous. It's like, and it
Everything.
was, I think it was meant to be, I don't know if it was meant to be almost comical or was it meant to be more horrifying? Because honestly, it was both.
Yeah.
Because the context of what happened is absolutely horrible what they did to her, but with that fake hillbilly music and the way these guys looked and talked and walked, it made it comical. And maybe
And I
Frank
think
was going for something more serious, but because he didn't understand that, I don't know.
the way that I would take that on retrospect with how you're bringing it up, I think he maybe felt like he was getting too serious with it. So that's where the music comes in. That's where he tells these guys, okay, you got to play the over the top crazy white hillbilly guy because if not, people are really going to hate you. People are really, I mean, you get killed, but they're really, you know what I mean? Like maybe
Yeah.
he felt like,
Well, and that's what
this
I
is
was thinking too. This because audiences may not want to. If you make it lighter and a little more comical, it's easier to digest the horror that you're looking at. That's why horror comedy works well because you see some horrible things. Uh, Hills Have Eyes 2, I think the remake um, has a horrible scene similar to this.
right,
Only it takes it full on graphic. It is, and that's all I remember from the movie. So
right.
I'm glad he lightened this up a little
Yeah.
because that actually could have been really really bad. But anyway, maybe that's why it was done.
And the fact that she gets those two guys at the end
Oh
with the
God, does
hanger,
she ever?
with that coat hanger, and I thought, is that what she's going to do? Like with the, and then I was like, no, it looks like she's going to put it in a burner. I don't know what the hell she's doing. And then the guy comes in
Wow.
and she gets him with that, and you can see his eye like
I
fly
know, dude.
out.
I was about to say, did his eye
And I was
come
like,
out? Because it
oh,
was just boom.
uh-oh.
Damn.
And then a little bit later on, that guy, the bigger guy, comes in. She just throws the gasoline on him, and he knows what's going to happen.
Yep.
He knows exactly what's going to happen next. And sure as shit, she throws some matches on him. He just
I
goes up
love
in
that.
flames. And I was just like,
Yeah.
yes, you bastard, you deserve that. You deserve
Yeah.
no better bricks. They had one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, no. I was gonna say there are some funny moments in this film. The hospital scene where she's with her boyfriend and they're making out, and that nurse comes in, and it's
She's
time for
going
his
down on her
sponge bath.
boyfriend.
Yeah,
It's time for your bath.
yeah. That was funny. That was funny, especially to see Pam Grier's character sitting out there. She's smiling. She's laughing.
Yeah.
You're seeing that's a good moment. You're seeing
Yeah.
the love that they have for each other there, and it's I appreciate things like that. These movies aren't all exploitation and
Right.
gratuitous nudity and violence and stuff. There's some human moments in them that I think are good, and it's I enjoy it.
Yeah, they're a very, very good movie. Very good. They had their special effects guy. I don't remember his name, but there's one really good special effect in this movie. And it says she's on the plane and she's chasing some guy. Why the guy just stood there and started shooting, I don't know. Henchmen are dumb.
I
Henchmen are
forgot
really
about the guy. Yeah, I know.
make sure that if you're going to hire henchmen, that they at least have a high school diploma or something, a good high school.
They're disposable.
This guy standing there shooting. But the thing that worked for me is when that plane hits him, the rotary, he just, and they have that on camera. Like
it's great.
I was just, holy crap, that was a good effect.
It was a great edit, really right to from the actor to the gag. That edit just went so well. And it's like, good job. Yeah, I like it.
I need to look at who the editor was. I the way I'm set up now, I'm on my phone. I'm not actually on my computer. I pull it up. But the editor did a really good job. And there were some really good edits in this movie. Like, from one to the other.
It flowed well. I love the gay bar scene. I have a black belt in karate.
I got a black belt in karate.
A black belt in bar stool.
Yep. And a black
love
belt.
it.
Boy, she hit that bitch with a bar stool, like 4 bar stools, and she would not go down. Like, that's one tough day. She ain't going down. But what I thought was really cool is some of the dyke lesbians are going to try and beat up Pam Grier and keep her there, and the other girl there for the mob baddies.
It just shows you how far the mob's reach was.
But the good news is you had a bunch of lesbians that were like, "Hey, leave her alone. She's our friend." Like, she a lot of the women in this bar, and they just went after the women that were going after Pam Grier.
There's a big old fight.
That was awesome. They were beating shit out of some.
What surprised me about this fight is everybody kept their clothes on.
Oh my God, I didn't realize that, because it was an actual bar fight. It was a bar fight.
It was a real bar fight. Whereas sometimes we'll watch these movies, see a bar fight. Hold on a second, or any fight. Hold on, let me take everything off. What?
There was a lot of gratuitous nudity, but you're right. In this bar
fight,
it
wasn't as much as others. That's for sure.
No, it really wasn't. I mean, there were some like women in the background sitting down.
It really wasn't prominent. So that wasn't
the main thing to get somebody's top off. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But yeah, it was a good movie. All in all, I enjoyed.
I did too. I did.
Sinbad the comedian did a bit about Foxy Brown.
Oh, and
it's very, as he's doing his skit, he spots Pam Grier in the audience.
Oh wow!
And he was just starting his bit, and then like somebody says something, or he spots her in the audience. He's like, "Oh man," he's almost too embarrassed, and then he starts going on, and then he just goes off on a riff like, I tried to date girls in college, and you ain't Foxy Brown. You ain't Foxy Brown. No woman compared to Pam Grier, and they shoot the camera over to her. She's just laughing. But yeah, this is a good. I like this one. I really love Cough. We're going to be doing more Pam Grier's, folks.
Oh,
we're
absolutely
going to definitely be doing some more Pam Grier.
Absolutely.
She's absolutely no complaints from me. I recommend it. I recommend any. I cannot think of any blaxploitation movie, and that's a terrible thing to call it, but that is what it was dubbed. And it was dubbed by people that were trying to destroy the film industry that these people were in. But it didn't work. It backfired in the long run, and thank God for that. But I haven't seen one that I haven't liked.
Mm-hmm.
I like some less others, but I like all of them. I've liked very much.
These are movies that I've seen. I've seen several late at night growing up and watching these, and they're always entertaining. You always get into the characters. It's always fun. It's just that's fun. Hey, we're talking about all these gangster violent movies but they're entertaining. They are, and I turn those on. I know instantly I'm watching 70s. It's got that 70s vibe all the way through it. Just like we talk about, at least certain eras have their their energy. And this is a 70s film.
Yeah. And
How
you know the
many?
bad guy gonna get it.
Yeah,
You know the
you
gonna
do.
get it.
It does do that a lot where the the good guy always wins. I had to pause for a second. I watched the Sylvester Stallone documentary on Netflix called Sly. I highly recommend it. And he talked about how he ended Rambo and how he needed a happy ending. The hero
Right.
does not die, will not die in his movies, and he would butt so many heads with people to make sure that got through. So there was always hope, and I appreciate that about Stallone, and I appreciate that about these movies because now you have somebody to root for, and it's not all an unhappy ending.
Yeah, which they were doing a lot of in the 70s. There's a lot of movies where the anti-hero gets killed at the very end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, like, there's certain movies that I don't like watching. I've seen them one time. I'm like, I'll never watch that movie again because of the way they ended it. I'm like, it was a dumb ending. There was no reason to do that.
Yeah, to
And then
get
there are movies you watch and you're like, okay, the hero has to die here. And then the hero walks out and you're like, wait a minute. No, no, no. The better ending would have been this.
mm-hmm.
Like in Rogue One,
sometimes it's necessary.
And yeah, like in Rogue One, had everybody got off that planet, Scarrow, is that the one?
I think so.
There would have been a shit movie. It literally would have been just a crap movie because you got those people there, and you're like, "There's no way any of them are getting off."
Yeah,
I didn't particularly very ending of that, but we discussed that already.
Well, yeah,
go watch that review.
with that in Rogue One, because I'm going to humor the Star Wars talk for a moment. With that in Rogue One, me as the audience participant watching this, when you realize sitting there on your couch that everybody that you have been following this whole time is about to die, they know it, you know it, you all discovered at the same time. It's powerful.
Yeah.
It's well done.
Yeah.
It's a good moment in the movie, and it has to go. It has to happen, and it gives me chills when I think about it. I love Rogue One. It's a phenomenal flick. Anyway, back to
but with coffee had coffee, or in the Coffee movie, or in Foxy Brown.
Yeah,
because she did Jackie Brown too, and I was like, wait, no, we didn't do Jackie Brown. Foxy Brown, had she died or gotten killed during this movie would have failed miserably in the box office and around the world. I mean, nobody would remember this movie. Nobody would go see it because she had to live. Her character had to live.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's plain and simple. The bad guys had to be punished. And let me tell you, that one bad guy, is more than punished enough, and he deserved it. He deserved human trafficking.
Everybody got what they deserved.
Exactly what he got.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So your final thoughts on this?
I like this movie. I really do. And I highly recommend it. If you are a Pam Grier fan, if you're a blaxploitation fan, if you're a 70s cinema aholic, I would say go see or watch or rent or however you can see this movie, get it. It's worth it. It's well worth it.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of fun with this one. And it is these type of movies, you have a defined hero, you have a defined bad guy, the hero is going to win. Yeah. Justice will be served. And it gives you that little sense of hope. And I always think of like the end of Coffee ended with her riding off into the sunset, even though it was a beach at dawn or whatever. But so it was the whole concept. There goes our hero. Where are they now? Mm-hmm. And even though this is a different character than Coffee, it's still Pam Grier. It's still the same character. It's like when we go watch in the 80s, you've got Stallone, you've got Schwarzenegger, you've got Van Damme. They're all, it doesn't matter. Those are the action people. So it's,
doesn't matter what movie you're watching them in, you know what you're going to step into.
Yeah. And how can I forget Chuck Norris? Yeah. So
I believe that Pam Grier could knock a guy out with a with the hook, and that could work. Those wire fingers
absolutely.
no
No, not at all. That was a nasty bit of scene there. But folks, thank you for joining us as we work our way through more old ass movies. Hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe, and we will catch you next week with some surprise, I'm sure.
Something. We're going to do something.